Recording? Okay, we are recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Peasant Party Podcast. Oh, I didn't do my intro of good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Happy 5 o'clock p.m. I am so excited because I have two special guests in studio with me, and I'll keep my introductions brief because I'm so excited to talk to them. I guess I'll kind of, before I hand the mic over to them, I found these two lovely ladies over TikTok. I was so excited when I saw the little geotag that said you were both in Austin, Texas. And I was like, I have to have these girls on. I love what they're doing. It is so positive. It is so fun. And I think, a lot of people, regardless of their gender, would love the idea and can I learn from you guys, I would say. So do you want to take it away? And I guess, Rachel, I'll start with you. Okay. What is this mysterious thing I'm talking about? What are you doing on TikTok?
Okay. So we just started a series called Boyfriends by Super Bowl. And we are essentially over dating apps and we want to meet guys in person. And we thought of this idea NFL week 1 when we saw all the guys out like wearing their jerseys and repping their teams. We're like, okay, if we want to meet guys in person, where are the guys right now? The guys are watching football for the most part. So every single week we randomly choose or let a random generator choose a NFL team for us to support. We do research on the team. We really get to know it. We get our outfits ready in the team colors or with their merch. And we find the local watch party, really go immerse ourselves in that team for that day. And then eventually throughout the night, make it a point to approach guys and talk about football. And hopefully the goal is to get partners or boyfriends by the Super Bowl.
Woo! I love to hear that. And I guess, before we keep diving in, do you both want to just do a quick intro of yourselves? How long have you been in Austin? Kind of what's been like your experience dating up until this point? Here, Amanda, I'll have you jump in next.
Sure. Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I'm Amanda. I'm 33 years old. Which makes the next thing I'm about to say pretty scary because I think I've been in Austin like 15 years. I went to UT. I moved here from a very small town in East Texas, graduated from UT, and have been here ever since. So definitely an Austinite in most senses of the word. Rachel and I met almost 2 years ago at this point, maybe like a year and a half-ish ago. That's about me.
Nice. Love it.
And I'm Rachel. I'm 28, and I've been in Austin since 2015. I'm originally from San Antonio. After San Antonio, I lived in Manhattan for 2 years, and then I moved to Austin, left Austin, lived in Paris for a year,
Nice.
and then moved back to Austin. And I am a full-time professional makeup artist, and Amanda and I met playing volleyball, and we've just kind of really taken our friendship off. In August, I asked her to officially be one of my best friends, and she accepted. So
I love that. And both of you seem like so much like you just have if we're saying IRL to mean in real life, you guys have just seemingly just these IRL awesome lives. Like it seems like you're going to music festivals, you guys are meeting people in person. With Boyfriends by Super Bowl, in general, it's all about meeting people in person. I know so many people say they're fed up with the dating apps, and I couldn't say more how much I love the idea and how happy I was to see it like on my For You page. You guys seem to live like really awesome lives.
Yeah, and we really just the past couple months have been having a lot of conversations about dating and how frustrating it is, and I've recently just kind of gotten back over kind of a heartbreak that happened last year and am ready to really hopefully find a person because for me, I am great at doing things solo. I've backpacked Europe solo. I go to music festivals solo. I joined our volleyball team that we met at solo, and I'm just kind of ready to have a person to do all these things with.
Love it. And I couldn't, I think that's just an awesome idea. And it's always nice when you've got everything else in life ready to go. And it's just the only thing missing is somebody to share it with. And I think you're meeting people in probably the right places. With football season kind of going on. Do you want to kind of give a recap? Because we kind of have done the overview of, how things have gone so far and what the big idea is. If you want to kind of give a recap of how each of the weekends have gone, did you have a favorite team so far? Is there a front runner?
I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, sure. So we have, again, the first week is sort of when we dreamt up the idea and sort of saw everyone at these sort of watch parties, the dedicated bars. And we decided, like, okay, how do we become a part of this? And so that's where the idea was born. So we've been to 3 watch parties, either on Sunday or Thursday, just depending on our schedules. So the first week we did the Denver Broncos, and that was super fun. I think it was a great introduction to this idea. And so far, the quote unquote watch parties that we've been finding are from like established, registered like fan clubs. So it's not necessarily the people that we are going to be dating. They tend to be quite a bit older, honestly, and like a lot of couples. But we are still really like diving in, loving it, having so much fun because we're sort of using that to, you know, parlay into the rest of the night and just really immerse ourselves in the football culture. So Broncos were super fun. They were incredibly friendly and welcoming. The next week we did 49ers, and that was super fun too. It was a Thursday night. We went to Lester Pearl East, and so that was a good sort of bridge because it was still so the first one was Black Sheep Lodge. It was a little bit of an older crowd. I feel like Lester Pearl East, like, there were people we were mingling with, like whether they were at the watch party or not. The 49er fans, I feel, were like a little more diverse. If we're talking about stereotyping the fans or clustering the fans into sort of like a type. Incredibly kind and diverse. And then the third one, we did Steelers this past Sunday. And super fun. Again, the bar was sort of like in North Austin, so not like this like the type of guys that we're typically going to be mingling with, right? It was sort of the launching point for our day of football. And yeah, it's interesting how the fans do sort of have this like stereotypical feel. It felt like a lot more like East Coast, more blue collar. Fans were so happy we were there. They were really interested because that's a fan club that's been in Austin for decades, and they were like, you guys are new, like what are you doing here? And we did some interviews with them, and they were just like all about the Steelers. And so it's been super fun, really different experiences across the board. But again, yeah, we meet people, learn about the team culture, talk about football, and then sort of we'll go out typically after the games to meet guys.
Yeah, the part 2 of the day is where it gets a lot more fun because we've kind of watched the game, paid attention to the game. We have our conversation starters in our head. We've had a few drinks. We go out into the world, into the bars, and then that's when we really start approaching guys and talking about the games that we watched. Guys see us wearing football gear, and that's an automatic conversation starter. Like, if they saw us wearing our Steelers gear for that game, the Steelers lost, and they were like, like, tough game for the Steelers. And we're like, I know, like, you know, that was supposed to be a win. They had, like, 3 points up on ESPN or whatever. Like, I like to hear what the commentators say and just kind of regurgitate it to guys, and guys think that I know about football a lot more. So we have 2 parts to our days, the watch party and then the meeting of the guys. And every time we've gotten numbers and have talked to guys. So it's been very fun.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, because it kind of seems like even though the choices might have been random, it seems like you've chosen some like very popular games. And for better or worse, you might have chosen the losing team for some of them. But I think that's all in good fun. I think that starts some fun conversations. And do you do the random chooser every single time, or do you guys kind of switch it up as far as how you choose?
Yes. So every Monday we choose our team. So it kind of depends on our schedule. We want to do Sunday football as much as we can, but we I work a lot of Sundays, or for example, we have ACL this weekend.
Oh, same.
We can't do Sunday football because we will be at ACL. So we're doing Thursday football, and when we do Sunday football, we put in every single team that's playing on Sunday, and we let a random generator like spin and choose which team we're going to do. If it's Thursday football, we flip a coin because there's only 2 teams playing. And so we did flip our coin this week, and we will be doing Thursday football this week.
Nice.
Who are we
rooting for this week?
We're rooting for the Bears.
Nice.
Which,
Okay, Chicago. Nice.
Yeah, Chicago, the Bears are doing really rough this season, but like we said, we're looking for some loyal men, and there's no more loyal men than people who are loyal to the Bears, and that's
100%.
Yep. If you can be loyal to a losing team, then that's the kind of man that we want. So you can be loyal in a relationship for sure.
Love to hear it. Go Bears.
Yes.
Are there any teams, because I know, you're choosing from the random selection. Are there any teams that are maybe on your, like, really hope you draw this team list that seem really cool? And are there any no-go zone teams?
Yes, we've gotten so many comments. I would say our top 3 teams that we're really excited for, that we get so many comments are the Bills Mafia. People really want the Bills, Packers, and the Eagles. Go Birds. We get those 3 all the time. And as far as teams we're not excited about,
we have a bias against the Washington Commanders and the Buccaneers. We're least excited about those teams. We're keeping an open mind.
Okay.
So if we draw them, then we will get behind it. But there's something we're not getting the vibes from those teams right now. So if you're a fan, let us know on.
You can be convinced. Yeah,
hype them up.
We can be convinced.
Nice. And you mentioned the Eagles. So a certain someone is a huge fan of the Eagles, yet has become a recent fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Would love to get both of your take, and I noticed you're a Swiftie, on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Thoughts on that relationship?
I am so for it. I have been a Swiftie since my very first song on my very first iPod Mini was a Taylor Swift song back in 2007. And I feel like Taylor has been very reserved with her relationships, wants to keep everything very private. And I feel like a part of that has always been because she has been bigger than the person that she's dating, or like her fame has gotten too much for the person she's dating. And I love that she has this guy who is just like her biggest cheerleader and like loves how big she is, loves to show her off, wants to be seen with her. She feels safe enough with him to like be seen with him in public. And I know, maybe they're not even dating. Maybe she's just like getting some, but I think I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and I think like for as communal as football is, it can also be a little exclusive. Like if you've never been a football fan before, it's really hard in your 20s to start learning about football because people can be judgmental. The people are diehard fans, right? So I think it's great that it's sort of like melding the two worlds. It's like opening the door. I think the Kelce podcast, they have a segment called No Dumb Questions, and then they just really dive into like the basics of things that you need to know if you're watching a game. I don't know. It's not totally dissimilar to what we're doing. Like we did grow up football. We grew up around football. We like know the basics, but we've sort of created this environment where it's like safe to ask questions and talk about football. So I think it's great.
Yeah, this is the NFL season for the girlies, is for sure. We got Taylor Swift. We have like Allison Kush like on TikTok
she's
who
great. I
love her. You got Mr. Kush playing for the Raiders, and you got Allison Earl and her NFL boy or NFL guy. And I think that a lot of girls this season just have been like embracing learning more about football, and that is really exciting, and we love to be a part of that.
Nice. Yeah, it's just a great idea. Love seeing people get out in the wild and go back and meet people after, a few crazy years with COVID and people just kind of relying a little bit too much on the app. So I think what you're doing, other people could replicate it and have a great time with it. So something I do on this podcast is we take two listener mailbags. I pulled some that are all about meeting people in real life, about approaching people, and I would love for you to help me answer them. I think they're pretty relevant to what you do, and if I keep looking down at my phone, it's because I want to make sure I ask you all the questions. But yeah, I'll kick off that first question to start, and I'm excited for your help. All right, so the mailbag. How to approach women while out without looking like a creep? So this is from a gentleman. Hey ladies, 30 male writing in with hopefully a simple question. I'm done with and have deleted the apps and really want to focus my energy on meeting people in person. I'm doing what I can to get out of my comfort zone and put myself out there, including switching to a co-ed group fitness class, getting involved with the Alumni Association at my alma mater, watching games with fan clubs for my favorite sports teams, and all in all, just making it a point to say yes to more events and activities. A lot of these groups are either social by nature or have happy hours and mixer type events and seem like great places to meet women, and a lot of the women there are very attractive, not to mention they share my interests. and many appear to be single. However, I've been cautious to approach as I don't want to intrude on anyone's safe space or risk making anyone uncomfortable. And while these groups give me an excuse to talk to pretty much anyone, the double-edged sword is it may not be as obvious that I'm approaching them to flirt. So I'm wondering, what is a non-creepy way to approach the women I meet at these events or otherwise out and about that gives them A, an out and doesn't put too much pressure on them, while B, being obvious that the approach is flirty and has romantic intent? While I don't necessarily want to ask for pickup lines, any good ideas for openers are welcome. Thanks so much for the fun content. And then P.S. to the ladies out there, men love to be approached. Please don't hold back. If we look surprised, it's because we're impressed. I love this email. He's so positive. So thoughts there. I think there's a lot to unpack, and I can kind of go down the bullet point list of his short questions. I guess initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts, I mean, you are doing all the right things, sir. Like, really putting yourself out there, kind of how we are. You might be rejected 98% of the time, and you have to be okay with that. But it's like you just have to keep persisting and be like really excited about that 2% of the time. And you're totally right. Like, girls approach guys too, because some guys are nervous, and that's what we mostly do. Like, we approach guys. I think it's been so far these past few weeks 100% of the time. So I think he's doing all the right things, but I think Amanda has a little bit more ideas on this.
Yeah. Well, I like that he, respects that these spaces are sometimes like safe spaces for women. Like, I'm thinking to my gym, because it's like co-ed fitness. And, if a guy just did a cold open on me at the gym, like, it wouldn't be creepy, but it wouldn't be comfortable. Like, it would almost be a turnoff, right? And so I think he has to really embrace those scenarios where you are seeing people kind of consistently, twice a week or something. And, like, sometimes this takes work, right? Like if he really wants us to work out, I think, kicking up a conversation with her before or after class, ask her questions, remember what she says, ask follow-up questions. If you do that a few times in a row, I think you'll kind of get a sense of if she's open to maybe being asked out. And then, like, I know my gym has social events sometimes outside of the gym. So, like, when those are planned, ask her if she's going to be there, talk to her there. I think that's a little more comfortable for women. My biggest piece of feedback is, like, don't think that it's like a one and done thing. Like, this is someone you're going to see consistently. So, like, warm it up a little bit.
Totally.
And she might be totally open to it.
Totally. And I noticed something too. He mentioned like a very big variety of different types of places.
Yes.
Like he said somewhere that was, mixers, purely social, or it was like group fitness classes. What kinds of things, like, of what he mentioned or just in general, are kind of safe spaces to meet women? Like, where do women want to be approached and it's not weird? Because I know the gym can sometimes be kind of iffy. Where are places that women are always open to being approached?
Yeah, gym is definitely iffy. For me personally, I love meeting guys in a space where I know that I'm going to have a very common interest with them. For example, I love concerts. I love music festivals. Like I mentioned, I go to those by myself. And so I do that with an intention of meeting people and having conversations with people and making friends with people or making love connections with people. I have met, a few, haven't worked out, but love connections at music festivals, and it's an easy conversation starter. If you go to a concert and you are just standing around waiting for the concert to start and you just talk about like your favorite song or about the artist, you already have this common interest. And it's the same thing, like we met playing co-ed volleyball, co-ed sports. I think that he also kind of mentioned that is also, I think, a really great place because usually those are at bars and you're going to get drinks afterwards, and you can usually feel out, sometimes even like in a group setting, like you're talking to every single person individually. Like if you're talking to her and it is over a few weeks, then you can kind of feel out if she does want a date.
Right, yeah. If people are staying after the game to grab a drink, they're probably doing that with the intention of like getting to know people a little bit. Yeah, so I think that's a great one.
And bars, in
general, yeah.
Bars, I feel like for us, we do our rounds, if you see girls and they're like looking around, doing their rounds, my favorite thing at a bar or a club is you make eye contact with somebody across the room like 3 times.
Mhm.
And it's just like their body language, and then you kind of gravitate towards each other and then you start talking to each other.
Mhm.
It's really reading their body language. Like if you make eye contact with them and then they like go the other way, like don't chase them down. But if you're making eye contact with them and then you feel this gravitational pull or they're smiling at you, like it sounds so cheesy, but that's like some of my favorite interactions I've had is like I just feel this gravitational pull from a guy across the room.
Nice. No, totally. And what are like kind of behavioral things? Because you've mentioned some things where it's like, we do rounds. What are some like behavioral signs that guys should look out for that a woman's interested in being approached, like aside from that? And what are some, signs that she's kind of closed off, would you say?
Ooh. I feel like if her and her friends are kind of having a conversation that in a very like not like a closed off area, like if they are in like the corner of the bar away from everybody else having a conversation, it's probably they don't want you to walk up to their table. If we are standing by the center bar or the main bar where everybody's kind of getting drinks and where a lot of the traffic flow is, then that is when we are most likely like wanting to have our conversations and or like be open to having girls come up to you too. I think is definitely really important.
Yeah. And like I don't really expect a guy to approach me if I'm like standing in a group of girls, but like for example, if Rachel and I are out on a Sunday and she's talking to a guy, I might, walk away and like make a round of around the bar, like walk around, like look around, or I'll go to the bar by myself to get myself a drink and like look around. I think that's a good like thing to look out for if a girl is removing herself from her friends for like a moment. That's sort of how I open myself up to being approached, where
Totally.
I don't expect a guy to like interrupt me, Rachel, and some other guy we're talking to, but if I'm sort of walk around, make myself approachable, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Totally.
If there's a guy I want to talk to, like I'll put myself in proximity to him too.
Nice.
So if you notice a girl is kind of
Inching her way over.
Yeah, exactly. Like she probably wants to talk to you.
Totally. So which one is safer? Woman by herself or woman with a group of girlfriends to approach?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, because I've done both, because like I said, I do things alone. And when I do things alone, I like to be approached, but I will kind of lie sometimes, being like, oh, I'm going to go meet my friends, like if I don't want to talk to him. But I think she says that she doesn't like to be approached in a group of friends. I like it when a couple of guys, if we're together and 2 guys come up to us and they're friends, it becomes at first kind of like a group conversation. And then that group conversation becomes like breaking off into like you see which one's like kind of interested in you. I like that. I like, a pair of guys coming up to us as a pair of girls.
No, I think that's a great point, because I was thinking of like a singular guy. So for the writer, he's asking, how can I make myself like how can I approach women more comfortably? I think that's a great point. Bring a friend. Like if it's one guy approach, like that can be a little like potentially off-putting. Like if I'm in a group, you like don't really know what to do with that. I think if he's worried about being like creepy or something like that, yeah, bring a friend.
Yeah, wingmen are always the best.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, and one thing he also mentioned, of course, he said, I don't need pickup lines necessarily, but I think a lot of people get scared of cold approaches because they think you have to march right up to somebody and say, I think you're beautiful, will you go out with me? That is not the way people want to be approached. That's not how people should approach. You've got to have some sort of an opener. What are like kind of openers that you've been approached with before from guys, like weird topics? Like what are some things that have been said to you that have worked? Anything that maybe didn't work? Any recommendations?
Currently, one that has been working for me is that I recently made a big change to my hair. Not that every guy on the street knows that it's a big change for me, but I was never getting compliments on my hair before, and now every single time we go out, I get like multiple guys coming up to me and being like, I love your hair. Your hair looks so cool. And if I see the guy, if I'm like, kind of interested or want to keep talking to him, then I make that into a conversation. If I am just kind of thankful and like not really interested in talking to him. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then
Mm-hmm.
you kind of turning away. I think like compliments are a really great way. And I know it sounds just basic, but if she looks like she kind of put effort into something, I think that's a really good conversation starter. If you have something in common, that's why we wear our merch and our jerseys. And when we watch football is a great conversation starter as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Compliment, you're not going to go wrong with a compliment. Whether you're complimenting something she's wearing or using it as a talking point. I mean, that's a big thing that even gave us this idea, because we would walk into a bar and they'd say, oh, are you here for the Niners game? And there'd be like a 49ers flag hanging. Like we didn't even really know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought, oh, maybe we should be, right? If that's like this big talking point. And even like after the game that we are like watching that Sunday, you go out and someone's wearing like a Cowboys hat. I ask the guy, like, how did the Cowboys do today? And then he got my number, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I know he's asking like from a guy's perspective, but yeah, any commonality. Ask, are you watching the game? Are you here for the band?
Yeah.
Those are very easy, like non-threatening ways to
Totally.
approach.
Definitely, you would think this would be obvious, but a lot of things aren't obvious to guys. Like, don't an overly sexual comment is just like straight off. Like, I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, like if maybe sometimes I like to wear low cut tops, show some cleavage. I don't want that to be your first comment though, like, or like, ooh, wowza. Like, I don't know. I do get those sometimes, especially as the night goes on and people get more drunk. But that is definitely a no-go. You would think it'd be obvious, but a lot of things just aren't obvious to guys.
Totally. My recommendation was always if you go up to them and you just say, oh, what are you drinking? If you're at a bar or something, and if they say vodka soda and turn around, they're probably not interested in talking to you. If they say vodka soda, what about you? That's an opener. And I think people usually don't want to stick around talking to someone they don't want to talk to. That was always my recommendation. I think a better one, though, is like something they're wearing. Like if you have like merch on for a team, a band, anything like that, I would tell this guy maybe, choose something that shows his personality, that gives people something to say to him too. But that was always like my recommendation.
Yeah, if they are bantering with you, like boom, 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 banter, like they're probably into you. It doesn't have to be them like overtly being like, touching you or like asking you out. Like this guy that I was talking to last week, I just loved how immediately back and forth, like we were just doing like one for one on our banter. He was like, I live here, but a little bit yonder from there. And I was like, oh, yonder? I've been to yonder. He's like, oh, you've heard of yonder? And I'm like, yeah, I lived yonder from San Antonio. He's like, I love that yonder. So if they're having this banter with you, then they're definitely interested. And I think one of his questions was, how do I become off as flirty versus friendly? And I immediately think guys are flirting with me before they're being friendly with me. And I don't know if that's how all women feel, but if I'm being approached or talking to a guy outside of my daily routine, I am typically thinking that it's flirty. And if it's not flirty, then I'm thinking wrong. Then he'll kind of let me know, like eventually, like, oh, like, I would love to just be your friend, and sometimes I have to take the blow to that one.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Yeah, well, we take a lot of L's. I mean,
Yes.
seriously, like. But I think one of his questions was like, how can you safely give a woman an out, right? And it's like, a lot of Sundays, Rachel and I are out for like 5 or 6 hours, and we probably don't want to hang out with the same brand new guy that entire time. I mean, maybe this is common sense, but like, ask for her number. She's going to know that you're interested, and then follow up. That's what guys don't do ever, is follow up. And, hopefully you've learned something about her in the 30 minutes, an hour that you were talking to her. Ask her to do something she likes.
Totally. No, I love that idea. Yeah, get the numbers. Instagram if they're not comfortable with numbers. I don't like Snapchat. I think we're all a little too old for Snapchat.
No Snapchat, ever.
No Snapchat. But no, I think getting the number, and then that way too, it just kind of takes things away from the alcohol, heat of the moment. You can kind of evaluate with yourself if you want to talk to this person again. And you mentioned something around, the playful banter back and forth. And I think something that can come with like these football rivalries or really any sport is like sometimes that can go a little too far. What is the line between playful banter and negging somebody?
Ooh, I think that first of all, guys, when they're doing the back and forth with us for the football, I think it is very flirty. So they are a little bit on like the flirty, cautious side.
Mhm.
Even when we were leaving the Broncos bar, there were some Commanders fans, and they were like, "Where are our female fans?" And so it's like we were literally wearing Broncos jerseys, but those guys were like, "Ooh, like look at those Broncos fans," even though we just had a game together and they beat us. But yeah, you definitely don't want to hate on their team as a franchise. You can kind of like, I think you can like nag on players, how they're doing that week, how they're doing that then. But for example, for me, I'm a huge Spurs fan. Like that's the only sports team that I will like ride or die with. And if people tell me that the Spurs suck or like overly hate on the Spurs, then that's an immediate turn off. But I think that if you're doing like, did you see how Brody Pickett in the fourth quarter Brody at the 49ers quarterback. Brock Purdy. We try to remember. Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter. It's like Brock Purdy didn't do that great in the fourth quarter. Like, I know he's been really great, the past 2 seasons, but that fourth quarter, he really blew it for, blah, 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 blah. So, or Russell Wilson or anything. It's making little points, but don't hate on the team that they grew up with and, know and love overall as a franchise.
Totally.
Yeah, I think girls that can talk shit about sports are so cool. I feel like you have to care a lot to like talk shit about sports with a guy. So like I think it's totally cool. For me, I would say like 1 or 2 things. Like that's all I have in me. Like I can't even keep it going much longer. So if you're using it as an opener, like yeah, that's cool. But like I just like I couldn't even have a conversation and like talking shit about sports for more than like 2 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, I think that guys just really appreciate that you are having a conversation with them about something that they enjoy.
Totally. So I guess, yeah, I mean, a hot button question. What happens if you go to see a game, you've got your gear on for, team of the week, and then you see somebody that's just extremely attractive and they're cheering for the other team? How do you approach them?
I think that first of all, that we wait until after the game for the most part. People are a lot more open to talking to us after the games or during halftime. During the games, they're very, very focused. But I think that going up to them after the game and, if they won, be like, I'll give you this one, or like, can I buy you a winning drink, or
Ooh, bets are fun. I feel like
yeah,
we'll buy the next drink kind of thing or something.
Yeah. Like I think that approaching it in that way and kind of a fun, playful way is like, y'all got it this time, but we'll see you in the playoffs, or like try and make it, congratulate them if they lost. Be like, hey, it was a rough game. Can I buy you a drink to make you feel better?
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of the watch parties have both teams that we're at. I mean, sometimes, but maybe you run into them after. Yeah. I think, I mean, like I said before, like, I'm going to make it lighthearted, I think, is my short answer. Like, whether they won or they lost, just say it, make a lighthearted comment and just, like, try to take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. I love that. Love that idea. Yeah, and then as far as, because you mentioned you've gotten some numbers, have any of these numbers converted over into dates or meeting up, after that weekend?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, Amanda spent a little time with one guy from our first week.
That's great.
Yeah. And I think, so every week we've both gotten numbers, but it's kind of, gotten to a point where, like one guy last week, I really liked him. He had like these beautiful eyes. We had a great conversation. I got his number. I texted him. I said, it was really great meeting you. Would you like to go on a date this week? I am kind of at the point where like I'm making it a point to be like, I am dating. I want to go on a date with you. And he sent me a really sweet message afterwards, or the next day, saying like, I really loved you too. I think that you're super cool. He's like, I'm not drinking or dating until the end of the year. He's like, would you be interested in being friends? And I was like, yeah, we're always out watching football. And he was like, I would love to come watch football with you guys, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that, that was really sweet. Maybe, at the beginning of this year, they'll get that one. There was one other guy who I was talking about going on a date with for a little bit and then, ghosted. So, it's a numbers game for sure. We've done it for 3 weeks and we've each gotten, a couple of numbers each week, and we're still.
That's what we said. We take some L's, right?
We take some L's.
I think Rachel has gotten numbers, and guys have also gotten our numbers, and it's like, all you can do is like follow up a couple times. If it's not, if they're not following through, you just move on.
Yeah, it only takes
There's
one.
always next week.
It only takes one.
Totally, and you guys have like the right attitude about it. I think like. We would all be better people if we could handle rejection better. And I think it sounds like it rolls off your back. It's just, there will be next week. There's plenty of fantastic people walking this earth and really love your attitude. Like, I think so many people are just so terrified of rejection. They let the fear of striking out keep them from playing the game, which wrong sport metaphor. But yes. And yeah, we have our second kind of listener question kind of falls along those on that wavelength around converting people you meet out into dates. Yes. And this is from a woman saying, can you turn party people into date people? Hey, Charlotte and guests, single 31 female looking for a relationship. I've been trying to rely less on dating apps to meet people, preferring to meet people through friends and IRL. It's been fun both approaching and getting approached by guys and getting a feel for people's personalities in a way that's really not that possible on apps. However, one problem I'm running into is the seeming lack of interest in real dates among the guys I meet this way. When we exchange numbers and start talking, they always ask or propose ideas centered around being out, as in, are you going to be out tonight? Or I'll be at this bar, place, or concert, you should come through. Now, I'm not opposed to meeting up in these more casual ways, but I worry it's setting the tone for a more casual situation. So is this a sign that guys don't want dates at all? Will the right guy just jump to a date right away? And if they are open to dates, what are ways to redirect from casual invite to date? Thanks.
I feel this in my bones, like deep in my bones, in my soul, in my heart, like especially here in Austin. I always say I feel like I'm Wendy in Neverland in a sea of Peter Pans that just like want to go out and party all the time. And I love to party, don't get me wrong. Great example is one guy that I was really interested in, our 49ers week. I spent like a good half of our night talking to him and was like really into him. Great banter, great conversation. He was super cute. Got his number. Amanda and I went out dancing for the rest of the night. Just had like a great time, just the two of us. And he texted me while we were out, like, what are you doing? Or like, WY, or where are you, or something.
Where are you at?
Where are you at? That's it. Yeah. YWA.
I've got
where
some
you at?
WYAs in my life.
WYAs, yeah. Where are you at? First of all, put some effort into like you talking, typing out some words.
Talk like a human.
And I was like, said the bar. He said, do you want me to come pick you up? I'm like, okay. And I replied, I said, you can pick me up for a date later this week. And he was like, bet. I'm holding you to it. I was like, great. Texted the next day. He was like, do you still want to go on a date? I was like, yeah, you pick the day, I'll pick the activity, show you around Austin more, because he was new to Austin. And he was like, I love that. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, the silence. Yeah, that's what I heard. So it was, you take some, you lose some, and I am over like chasing a ghost. Like if you are no longer interested, then I am also no longer interested. But I think that definitely what she was asking, if a guy wants to go out with you, he wants to go out with you. There's definitely times for casual meetups. And, if you're out and you're like, oh, like this band is playing, you should come see them. Like, I would love that. I love, meeting up casually. But if that's all it is, then if you're okay with that, then continue with it. If you're not okay with it and you want something more and he's not giving it to you, cut the cord. There's going to be somebody else down the road who is willing to give that to you.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. For me, this was really, like, I actually set an intention this year. It was the year of yes, and I've said yes to so many things.
I love it.
I'm saying yes now to watching football every single week through February.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, like, I think there's no problem accepting those casual invites a handful of times, especially if you felt like going out already. Now, listen, if you committed to a night in and taking a bubble bath and reading a book, like, don't let some, like,
don't get out of bed for
casual
anybody.
text like get you
Don't go out of
bed.
your way.
But like, if you were planning on going out anyways, or you like didn't have plans, sure, like stop by. I think that's totally fine. Like, you want to know if you have fun with that person anyways. Like, let's say you go out 2-3 times with the guy or the group of friends, you're having a really great time. Like, I think it's totally fine to say that. Like, I've been having so much fun doing this. Like, maybe we should, do whatever. We should go on a hike next week. Or I think by putting an idea out there, like letting him know you want to hang out one-on-one, that gives him the opportunity, right? And then, he may not follow through. But my thing is, like, you're not going to be able to convince someone that they want to date you or that they're even ready to date. A lot of these guys have no intentions of dating. And I think you just have to feel it out. Like, you can draw a boundary if you want to. Like, and the other thing I would say is, like, you don't have to stop going on dates because you see this guy twice a month and you just hang out like at the bars or whatever. So I think diversification is good.
Totally.
Yeah. Like I said, like, if you're comfortable and happy with hanging out with somebody casually and you mutually do not see them as a romantic date option and you just have fun with them and you hit them up and they hit you up, like, I have those and they're fun and we love them, they are so fun to hang out with. But if your intention is to date them and be hopefully in a relationship, then, there has to be a time that you got to cut the cord.
Totally. Because I think there can be like the challenge too, where I feel like sometimes this happens when you meet people on dating apps. You just get into the trap of like first date, second date, third date, and you always meet them when they're in this like date mode.
Yes.
And I feel like those casual hangouts like mixed in are great, but it's like if you go all in the other direction where it's all casual, it like doesn't set the tone for like kind of going down to the road of a relationship. So it's like having that pick and choose from both sides, like not too much of anything, I would say.
Yeah, you definitely need both because, like you said, there are guys where, we've gone on 4 dates. It's just been you and me. You haven't met my friends. I haven't met your friends. Like, what's happening? Like, are we going to expand this? Are you going to ever invite me out to meet your friends? And you definitely need a healthy balance of both.
Totally. I totally agree. Because I feel like when I would be in those situations with like someone I met on a dating app, like I feel like I would just feel like you were just dating in a silo almost. So those like casual things are helpful. I guess like kind of question to go off the casual. If say she's met somebody that's nice out and about, and then it's like, hey, it was great to meet you. Like would love to see you again. And they throw out an idea of, hey, like I'll be out, watching the game or doing something that seems like a common interest. I'll be out, next Saturday and she wants a date. What's the best kind of response to that kind of thing where he throws out the idea of, let's meet up? What's a good, fun, flirty text that's not, too intense?
Yeah, I mean, in that instance, like, I think if she's made her, like, wants known and they're still not asking her for, like, a date, I think that's, then maybe you call it off. But let's say this is like second or third hangout. I think if she's open, like if that sounds fun, I say do it. And then maybe there's like a follow-up of like, I'd love to get, a drink one-on-one with you next week or whatever. Or if that like sounds terrible to her, she could just say like, I'm busy, I have plans, but like, what about Wednesday night? I have a dinner reservation. I think following it up, I think it based on the relationship, like either like if you're getting sick of the casual thing, then sure, like put, draw a stick in the mud and offer an alternative. But, if you're still getting to know them, feel it out. Like if it sounds fun to be around a group of people, do it. And then, ask for a follow-up.
I think if it sounds like something that could potentially, where you're meeting up with them, we're going to watch the game, but then that could evolve throughout the night into us like going out and be like, I'll watch your team. I'll cheer for your team if like you eat at my favorite restaurant. Like, yeah, we'll do this initially, but we should do something else after, just the two of us, because that gives you, like, you're having fun with his friends, you're seeing how he is in the social setting, in a really fun environment, and then kind of have that opportunity to kind of like split off from the group and do something with just the two of you. I think that's a really great way. Football, we're always coming around to football. It is just a really fun environment to like hang out with people, and seeing him, it's kind of fun seeing guys support their team. They get into it, and that's kind of them in their zone and what they're into. And support him, do the things that he really likes, and hopefully that he'll reciprocate that and mirror that and do the things that you really love too.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, football, like, you'll find people kind of in their element. I like too that it's like during the day, usually. Sometimes like the nighttime stuff where people have kind of had a wild day is a difficult place to meet people. And I think, like meeting people out and about during football season is probably, a really good move in that regard, where it's like a casual thing that isn't too casual. But I thank you so much for helping me answer all these questions. I think before we close this out, I want to make sure everyone knows where they can find you, both, with Boyfriends by Super Bowl and any, content related to that, as well as, any personal kind of endeavors that you want to promote. You guys were incredible with giving some advice. I think you got a lot of great things to say, and I want to make sure people can get in touch with you if they want.
Yeah, absolutely. If you would like to, please support our Boyfriends by Super Bowl series. We have a lot of really exciting things coming up. We've been having really awesome meetings with different companies and productions, and just lots of really exciting things coming up with the series. And you can find that on TikTok at Rachel from Friends. It's on my TikTok account, Rachel.from_friends. And I am a full-time professional makeup artist. If you're needing makeup for any event, any wedding, film, TV, I do special effects makeup. I work at the House of Torment. You can find me there at Rachel James Makeup.
Nice.
Awesome. And do we have a hashtag for?
Oh, yeah. Hashtag Boyfriends by Super Bowl.
Boyfriends by Super Bowl. You heard it here.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can find me on Rachel's TikTok page for now. On Instagram, I'm amanda.osully. You can find me there. But the biggest thing right now, we'd love your support on Boyfriends by Super Bowl. We're there every week. Come say hi. Tell us where you want to go, what you want to see. The support's been great.
Yeah, let us know if you have a favorite NFL team, or if you know any single eligible bachelors who love football.
Nice, yes. And anything you want to tease before we turn things off? Anything coming up with Boyfriends by Super Bowl? You mentioned some meetings and brands reaching out to you.
We might. We've been thrifting merch, but let's just say that we might not be having to thrift merch anymore.
Ooh, love to see it.
Some fresh merch.
I love the NFL on TikTok is great. Like,
They're
all of their
active.
social people are great. No, that's super exciting to hear, and I can't thank you guys enough for being here. I guess before we kind of turn things off, go Bears.
The Bears.
Let's go Bears.
Go Bears. Let's go Bears.
Let's go Bears.
Woo. And I guess I'll see you both. If you're both going to ACL, I'll be there this weekend as well. Keep going. And I guess to the audience, keep doing things in real life. Like, it's just the best way to meet people. I think you get a feel for people's personality. And I love what these girls are doing. And I think y'all could learn from them. So I guess, I'll over and out this. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us. We had a great time.
Woo. You too.